My younger sister deliberately scheduled a surprise celebration for her boyfriend on the exact same day as my wedding. My parents chose to attend her event instead of mine, and now they're pressuring me to hold another ceremony after discovering I'll inherit everything from my aunt and uncle. My younger sister scheduled a surprise celebration for her boyfriend on the exact day of my wedding, and our parents decided to attend her event instead. Now, they are requesting that I hold my wedding ceremony again, having discovered that I will receive the entire inheritance from my aunt and uncle. As a 28-year-old woman, I've consistently felt like the outsider in my family, especially when compared to Elaine, my 26-year-old younger sister. Our parents, particularly our mother, have displayed obvious favoritism toward Elaine for as long as I can recall. I've never managed to pinpoint the precise reason for Elaine's favored status, but it has been apparent since our childhood. When I was born, my parents faced financial and emotional difficulties. They made the decision for my aunt and uncle to raise me during the first 6 years of my life. My aunt explained that my mother was experiencing severe postpartum depression, which made it challenging for her to care for me. My aunt and uncle readily welcomed me into their home, understanding the gravity of the situation. As an infant, I was unaware that my aunt and uncle were not my biological parents. I thrived in their loving environment, feeling secure and content. However, circumstances began to shift once I started school. My biological parents would visit on occasion, explaining that they were my true parents and that my time with my aunt and uncle was only temporary. These visits invariably left me feeling bewildered. I was pleased to see my parents, but also experienced a sense of being forsaken. I would observe them spending a few hours with me, engaging in play and conversation, but then they would depart, taking Elaine with them. This pattern persisted, and it became clear that Elaine was always their primary concern. While my aunt and uncle provided me with all the affection and care they could, the brief encounters with my parents left me with a feeling of being unwanted. Finally, upon my 6th birthday, my parents brought me back home. Initially, I was thrilled to be reunited with my family, but that excitement quickly diminished. I soon recognized how different life was compared to my time with my aunt and uncle. One of the initial adjustments I had to make was sharing a bedroom with Elaine. She had always enjoyed her own private space, and there was an unoccupied bedroom my parents could have provided me. Instead, they insisted Elaine and I share a room, intending for us to form a sisterly bond. Elaine disliked this new arrangement intensely and made her feelings quite clear. If I played too loudly or read books my aunt and uncle had purchased for me, Elaine would mock me, calling me offensive names. Whenever I attempted to decorate my portion of the room, Elaine would sneer and label me immature. If I brought home a commendable school grade and eagerly presented it to my parents, Elaine would roll her eyes and sarcastically call me the teacher's favorite. When I practiced playing the guitar, a gift from my aunt and uncle, Elaine would declare I sounded terrible and should abandon it. Even minor details, like how I arranged my playthings or how I recounted my day, became reasons for Elaine to ridicule me. Over time, I recognized that my cherished activities became sources of disagreement. The warmth and acceptance I had experienced at my aunt and uncle's residence were supplanted by an ongoing feeling of strain and discord. Elaine found fault with everything I did, which made me feel self-conscious. Imagine your younger sister, someone you hope to connect with, making fun of every small detail about you. This caused me to begin doubting myself. I was too young to grasp that Elaine's actions constituted bullying. I believed perhaps I was the issue and simply wished to integrate into my family. I ceased reading my books at home, reserving them only for school. I completely stopped playing my guitar. I undertook all these changes in the hope that Elaine might accept me if I altered myself. Regrettably, no matter how much I endeavored to adjust and conform, Elaine's demeanor toward me did not improve. The more I attempted to appease her, the more I felt like I was losing parts of my authentic self. Even when I discontinued all the activities that irritated Elaine, she would invent new ways to mock me. I recall during my early teenage years, I developed acne due to hormonal shifts. Elaine would constantly tell me how unsightly I appeared and that my complexion was repulsive. Hearing this was so distressing that I would weep and approach our parents. Rather than supporting me and reprimanding Elaine, my mother would instruct me to stop crying and to become tougher. My father offered little assistance either, attempting to remain uninvolved. My mother would tell me I needed to stand up to my sister instead of seeking her intervention. As a consequence of Elaine's taunting and my parents' inability to provide a safe and loving environment, I felt confused and isolated. I yearned for the nurturing atmosphere I had shared with my aunt and uncle, where I had always felt valued and understood. My aunt and uncle did visit whenever possible, and during their visits, they would gently try to speak with Elaine and ask her not to bother me, but she never paid them any heed. As I matured, I gradually became a very resentful teenager. I remember that even though Elaine was younger than me, she enjoyed greater popularity at school, and she disliked that I was beginning to make friends. She would attempt to undermine my friendships by circulating rumors about me. This time, instead of appealing to my parents for help, I began to defend myself. I would confront her about the rumors and inform my friends of the truth. Elaine would complain to our parents, and I would sometimes be reprimanded, yet I still experienced a blend of satisfaction and guilt for retaliating. The ultimate incident that confirmed to me the extent of my parents' favoritism toward Elaine over me occurred during my high school graduation. I had diligently worked throughout high school and was graduating with high honors. I desired my parents' support and presence at the ceremony, hoping for their pride and encouragement. However, merely days before the event, my mother informed me that Elaine had a dance recital scheduled for the same day. Despite my graduation and her recital being several hours apart, Elaine wanted my parents to attend her full dress rehearsal, and according to my mother, she needed them more. My mother assured me that my father would be present to support me. Although let down, I accepted the idea that at least one parent would be there for me. On the day of the ceremony, I was stunned when even my father failed to appear. Apparently, my mother had urgently called him, claiming Elaine was experiencing a panic attack before her rehearsal and required his presence to calm her. My father opted to rush to Elaine's side rather than attend my graduation. When I approached to receive my diploma, I recall seeing no familiar faces in the audience cheering me on. I felt nothing but a profound sense of solitude and abandonment. Later, upon my return home, both my parents and Elaine were absent. I telephoned them, only to discover they were still with Elaine, celebrating her successful rehearsal. Hours passed before they returned, triumphant and praising Elaine's performance. They embraced her tightly and lauded her accomplishments as if it were the most significant event of the year. I could not shake the envy and distress I felt at that moment. My parents did not even offer an apology for missing my graduation. It was a stark realization of my standing in my parents' priorities. Despite my diligent efforts and accomplishments, I was consistently overshadowed and unappreciated compared to Elaine. This entire situation became a pivotal moment in my understanding of how my parents perceived us, and it shaped my self-image within my own family. I began to stop asking my parents for assistance or for their presence. I ceased believing that I could rely on them. Whenever I excelled in my academic pursuits or extracurricular activities, I no longer bothered to inform them. The only individuals I could freely discuss my achievements with were my aunt and uncle, and they always showed appreciation, even for minor things. Their affirmations meant more to me than any recognition from my parents ever could. When Elaine completed high school and gained admission to a respected university, my parents orchestrated a grand celebration for her. They beamed with pride, boasting about her accomplishments to everyone and hosting a party in her honor. I congratulated my sister, as I genuinely felt happy for her, despite our challenging relationship. A year later, when I graduated from college with a degree in computer science and a job offer from a leading technology firm, my parents did nothing of the sort. Witnessing this, my aunt and uncle desired to commemorate my achievement by organizing a modest gathering with close relatives and some of my friends. Initially intended as a simple event, word circulated, and many more family members and acquaintances expressed their wish to join and demonstrate their support for me. However, my parents voiced their disapproval, deeming this celebration excessive. They felt that I did not merit such an elaborate festivity, especially since they had not done the same for Elaine when she started college. Admittedly, the party my aunt and uncle were arranging for me was indeed more extravagant than the one Elaine had received upon her high school graduation. Nevertheless, I wish my parents could have allowed me just one day without complaint. My mother contended that Elaine would feel very hurt if she discovered that our aunt and uncle were celebrating me with a party, particularly considering they had only given her a gift card when she graduated. My aunt, visibly upset, reminded my mother how she and my uncle consistently had to step into support and celebrate me because my parents never did. She highlighted how my parents had enthusiastically honored Elaine's achievements but appeared indifferent to mine. My uncle echoed her sentiments, questioning why there was a double standard in acknowledging their children's successes. In response, my parents defended themselves, arguing that it was difficult to manage celebrations for two children and that their focus had naturally gravitated toward Elaine's milestones since she was the youngest. They asserted their hands were full and that they could not do everything for both of us equally. My mother further justified that merely because they didn't celebrate me sufficiently did not imply a lack of love. Fortunately, my aunt and uncle remained unconvinced. My uncle passionately countered that being parents meant being there for both children, not just one. He criticized my parents for not treating me with the same enthusiasm and encouragement they consistently showed Elaine. Ultimately, my parents had no compelling argument, so I did end up having a substantial party, precisely as my aunt and uncle wished for me. I had invited Elaine to attend, but she informed me she was too occupied with college preparations to attend a silly little party. For years, my parents continued to exhibit their favoritism toward Elaine, even into our adulthood. It was also particularly apparent in how they treated us and our significant others. While Elaine and her boyfriend were always warmly welcomed at our family gatherings, I felt increasingly marginalized, especially after I began dating my boyfriend, Jake. When family events arose, my parents would consistently extend invitations to Elaine and her boyfriend without fail each year. However, after I introduced Jake to them, suddenly my parents voiced concerns about their gatherings becoming too crowded if they invited Jake as well. It felt like a glaring double standard. What made it worse was how my parents perceived and discussed Jake. Despite his impressive academic background and successful profession as a software engineer, they would invent reasons to criticize him. Meanwhile, Elaine's boyfriend, who had withdrawn from college and was still attempting to establish his career path, was never scrutinized or judged in the same manner. My mother's remarks were especially hurtful. She once openly expressed to me how she would have preferred me to find a more family-oriented partner instead of someone like Jake, who was so focused on his career. She even implied that Jake would not make a good father to my future children. Despite her comments, I persisted in my relationship because I believed in Jake and our shared future. I even started declining invitations to family dinners and annual holiday events to prevent giving my parents any grounds to criticize Jake. I don't believe my absence had a significant impact on them. Now, concerning the primary reason for my current post on Reddit, 6 months ago, Jake proposed to me, and I accepted. I had absolutely no doubts that he was the right person for me. This man has provided me with immense love and support throughout the years. I cannot even envision my life without him. When I informed my parents about the engagement, out of courtesy, wanting them to hear the news directly from me rather than from another source, I encountered mixed reactions. My father appeared genuinely pleased for me and offered his congratulations, while my mother remained silent. Later, my mother messaged me to convey her disappointment. She stated she was let down that I had not heeded her advice and had proceeded with the engagement to Jake. She asserted that, as a woman, she understood other women better and felt Jake would not be a suitable addition to our family. I was taken aback and told her to stop, as I was weary of her constant disparagement of my relationship. I asked her if she possessed any legitimate reason for her dislike of Jake, or if it was simply unfounded bias. It was then that my mother retorted, claiming that Jake consistently challenged her opinions, unlike Elaine's boyfriend. This statement left me speechless. It was true that Jake is not someone who allows others to easily dominate him. In the past, whenever my mother had subtly attempted to belittle his career choice or his perspectives, Jake has never let it pass. This is one of the qualities I admire about Jake. He advocates for himself. He is aware of our family's history, and unlike me, he does not hesitate to assert himself with my mother. However, Jake has never been overtly disrespectful. His responses are typically courteous but resolute. It was clear to me then that my mother's issue with Jake was not founded on any actual behavior or character flaw, but rather on her discomfort with someone who would not simply concur with everything she articulated. I told my mother that I did not believe Jake's actions were wrong in any respect, and that I wished I possessed more assertiveness like him. My mother retorted that Jake was a detrimental influence and that he was altering me excessively. I paid little attention to my mother's criticisms and enthusiastically proceeded with planning my wedding with Jake. 2 months ago, I dispatched wedding invitations to everyone, including Elaine. Despite receiving no congratulations from Elaine after the engagement, I still harbored no ill will and extended an invitation to her for the wedding. To my surprise, Elaine declined the invitation without any explanation, which somewhat disappointed me. But what truly caught me off guard was when my father telephoned to inform me that while he would be attending, my mother had decided not to come. I knew my mother had reservations about Jake, but I had hoped that for the sake of our family and my significant day, she would put aside those differences and join us. I was astonished and asked why. My father explained that Elaine had apparently organized a surprise birthday celebration for her boyfriend on the very same day, which my mother was going to attend instead of my wedding. This revelation was odd, since I knew that Elaine's boyfriend's birthday was months away from my wedding date. I could not comprehend why they would host a party on the exact same day as my wedding. Instead of confronting my mother first, I decided to contact Elaine directly to clarify matters. Although we didn't frequently communicate, I wished to handle the situation with respect and composure. I called Elaine and directly inquired about the birthday party and if that was truly the reason she wasn't planning to attend my wedding. To my astonishment, Elaine confirmed this was indeed the case. She explained that her boyfriend had always desired a surprise party and they had initially scheduled it for his actual birthday, but they lacked sufficient funds saved at the time. Hence, Elaine admitted that she had gone to great lengths to compensate her boyfriend by working diligently and securing a unique venue for their celebration that fit within their financial limits. Unfortunately, the sole available date for this venue happened to coincide with my wedding day. I expressed my disappointment and gently suggested she could have chosen an alternative date, emphasizing how much I would have valued her presence at my wedding. However, Elaine responded that her boyfriend's happiness superseded everything else and made it clear that she was unwilling to alter their party date merely to accommodate my wedding plans. Her words stung, and she didn't even wait for my response before ending the call. Later, when I telephoned my mother to discuss the situation, she resorted to the same long-standing explanation she often used with me. She insisted that Elaine would feel upset if she didn't attend her boyfriend's party and reiterated that my father was already planning to attend my wedding, so I should not be selfish and expect her to come as well. I told her, my voice almost cracking, just how painful it was for me to perpetually feel like she regarded me as inferior compared to my sister. I explained to her that she could do as she wished, but I was no longer going to acknowledge her as a parent after this. My mother scoffed at my words and told me that I should not be so overly dramatic about my wedding. After the disagreement with my mother regarding her refusal to attend my wedding, I opted to cease all communication with her. My primary focus shifted to ensuring that Jake and I had the most wonderful wedding possible and that our celebration was filled with happiness and affection. Despite my disappointment with my mother, I was thankful that my father honored his promise and stood by me on my special day. When Jake and I finally exchanged vows, my aunt and uncle, who had already anticipated my mother's absence despite their urging, were understandably distressed and let down. They had even cautioned my mother beforehand, stressing the importance of her presence. The fact that she still chose not to come deeply affected them. What made matters worse was when Elaine uploaded photographs from her boyfriend's surprise party, where my mother could be seen dancing and drinking as if she hadn't a care in the world. The issue wasn't her actions, but the way they both appeared to flaunt their disregard for my feelings about their absence from my wedding. My mother never once contacted me or Jake to check on us or congratulate us throughout the entire day. Post-wedding, my aunt and uncle did not hesitate to confront my mother about her absence from my wedding. They held nothing back, voicing their disappointment in her conduct and plainly stating that they were fed up with how poorly she had treated me over the years. They informed her that they had given her ample opportunities to be a good mother, but she clearly only cared about Elaine. They went so far as to threaten her with consequences, including potentially removing her from their will. When Mom attempted to argue back with them, claiming how Elaine's boyfriend's party was important, they informed her that they would ensure I received every penny of their inheritance, as I deserved it more than she did. This was a significant statement from my aunt and uncle and completely unforeseen. My mother, who had been struggling to justify her absence at my wedding until then, found herself in a difficult position after hearing this. Following her confrontation with my aunt and uncle, she telephoned me, pleading for forgiveness. Mom expressed disbelief at how missing my wedding had escalated into such a predicament. During our brief conversation, she lamented how unjust it would be if I inherited my aunt and uncle's estate instead of her. She urged me to persuade them not to proceed with any decisions concerning their assets. Clearly, she was more preoccupied with inheriting money than repairing our strained relationship. Hence, I did not engage in much discussion with her, as I was on my honeymoon and wished to preserve my mood. However, recently, since my return from my honeymoon, she has been calling me almost daily, imploring for another chance to rectify things between us. She suggested that Jake and I should have another wedding ceremony, this time with only immediate family members if feasible, so she could also attend. She has expressed remorse for missing my wedding and insists that I should grant her an opportunity to remedy the situation. Her change of heart and persistent requests have placed me in a difficult predicament. On one hand, I comprehend her wish to make amends, but on the other, it's hard to overlook the pain caused by her absence and the deeper issues it represents. I don't want to organize another wedding simply for her attendance. Also, unexpectedly, Elaine sent me a message stating how I should not have involved our aunt and uncle in our private family matters and that Mom is genuinely apprehensive about losing her inheritance. She said, for Mom's sake, I should arrange another wedding just to restore harmony within our family. I am uncertain if I should yield to the demands of my mother and Elaine to have another wedding. Update 1. It has been approximately 3 weeks since my previous post, and much has transpired. I wish to thank everyone for their encouraging comments and suggestions. Your words truly aided me in gaining perspective on my circumstances. Firstly, I spoke with Jake about the entire situation. He was understandably upset about how my family had treated us, particularly on our wedding day. He concurred that holding another wedding would be unnecessary and potentially detrimental to our emotional well-being. Jake believes I should stand firm with my mother and tell her that she had her opportunity to attend our initial wedding, but she chose not to, so now she must face the consequences of her actions. I decided to heed Jake's counsel and the advice of numerous commenters. I telephoned my mother and had a prolonged, frank discussion with her. I told her that I appreciated her apology, but I was unwilling to have another wedding ceremony merely to placate her. I explained that her absence from my wedding was merely the surface of the issue. It was the culmination of years of favoritism and neglect. My mother attempted to defend herself, stating she always loved me but found it challenging to connect with me after I resided with my aunt and uncle for such an extended period. She claimed that she felt she didn't know how to be a mother to me, and that's why she gravitated toward Elaine. I told her that while I could empathize with her struggle, it did not excuse her conduct over the years. I also addressed the inheritance matter. I made it unequivocally clear that I had no intention of influencing my aunt and uncle's decision concerning their will. I informed her that their choice was entirely their own, and if she wished to alter their views, she needed to speak with them directly and strive to mend her relationship with them. The conversation concluded with my mother in tears, pleading with me to reconsider. I maintained my position and told her that while I was open to working on our relationship in the future, I required time and space to heal. I also made it clear that any reconciliation would need to include an acknowledgement of past grievances and a genuine effort to change. Following my conversation with my mother, I received an unexpected call from Elaine. To my surprise, she wished to meet and talk. Curious about what she had to convey, I agreed to meet her at a local cafe. When we met, Elaine appeared anxious and uneasy. She began by apologizing for missing my wedding and for her behavior throughout the years. She admitted that she had always felt envious of the close bond one shared with our aunt and uncle, and that she felt compelled to compete for our parents' attention. Elaine then delivered a significant piece of news. She revealed that she and her boyfriend had ended their relationship shortly after his surprise party. Apparently, the stress of organizing the party and the guilt of missing my wedding had strained their connection. She confessed that she regretted prioritizing the party over my wedding and wished she could reverse time. I was taken aback by Elaine's admission and sincerity. For the first time in years, I perceived vulnerability in my sister. We ended up conversing for hours, sharing our perspectives on our childhood and our relationship with our parents. Elaine admitted that she had often felt pressured by our mother to be flawless and that she resented me for seemingly having an escape with our aunt and uncle. While this discussion did not erase years of hurt, it felt like a positive step forward. Elaine and I agreed to endeavor to improve our relationship and to be more open and honest with each other going forward. However, just as things seemed to be looking up with Elaine, I received some concerning information from my aunt and uncle. They telephoned to inform me that my mother had appeared at their home, demanding to know why they planned to leave their inheritance to me. Apparently, she had accused them of attempting to purchase my affection and loyalty with money. My aunt and uncle were upset by my mother's actions and accusations. They reassured me that their decision regarding their will was based on their love for me and their disapproval of how my parents had treated me over the years. They also mentioned that my mother had threatened to challenge the will if they proceeded with their plan. This situation has introduced a new layer of strain within the family. I feel responsible that my aunt and uncle are encountering such stress because of me, even though I recognize it's not truly my fault. I'm also apprehensive about how this might impact my developing reconciliation with Elaine. Jake has been incredibly supportive throughout all of this. He suggested that we take a brief trip away to clear our minds and gain some perspective on everything that had occurred. I'm considering accepting his offer. I am at a loss as to what to do next. Should I try to mediate between my mother and my aunt and uncle? Should I remain entirely uninvolved? How do I manage my evolving relationship with Elaine amidst all this family drama? Any guidance would be greatly appreciated. Update 2. It has been approximately 2 months since my last update, and the situation has taken some unforeseen turns. I wish to thank everyone again for their assistance and insights. Your advice has been invaluable during this challenging period. After considerable deliberation, Jake and I decided to take the short trip he proposed. We spent a week at a tranquil beach resort, distant from all the family turmoil. It was precisely what we needed: time to relax, reconnect, and gain some clarity on everything that had transpired. During our getaway, I received a call from my father. He rarely contacts me independently, so I knew something significant must have occurred. Dad informed me that Mom had experienced a minor heart attack. She was stable and recuperating in the hospital, but the medical professionals advised her to avoid stress. Despite my complex feelings toward my mother, I felt worried and a pang of guilt. Jake and I cut our trip short and returned home immediately. Upon our arrival at the hospital, we discovered Elaine already there, appearing exhausted and concerned. To my surprise, my aunt and uncle were also present. They explained that despite their recent disagreements with Mom, they couldn't stay away when they learned about her health scare. Their presence seemed to have a calming influence on everyone. When I entered Mom's hospital room, I was struck by how frail and susceptible she looked. Her eyes welled with tears when she saw me, and she reached out to grasp my hand. For the first time in years, I saw genuine regret in her eyes. Mom began to speak, her voice weak but resolute. She apologized for her behavior over the years, admitting that she had allowed her insecurities and fears to create a rift between us. She confessed that she had always felt insufficient as a mother, especially after entrusting me to my aunt and uncle for those initial years. Instead of striving to overcome those feelings, she had channeled her energy into Elaine, fostering an unhealthy dynamic within our family. What she articulated next astonished me. Mom disclosed that she had been seeing a therapist for the past month, attempting to process her issues and comprehend why she had treated me the way she did. She stated that her heart attack had served as a wake-up call, making her realize that she needed to put things right before it was too late. Elaine, who had been listening silently, suddenly burst into tears. She apologized for her part in the family dysfunction, admitting that she had often taken advantage of Mom's favoritism instead of advocating for me. She expressed sorrow for missing my wedding and for not being a better sister throughout the years. As we conversed, years of suppressed emotions poured out. There were tears, accusations, and painful truths shared, but for the first time, it felt like we were all genuinely listening to each other. Amidst this emotionally charged discussion, my aunt and uncle joined us. They offered their perspective on the situation, explaining why they had made their decision about their will. They emphasized that it was not about showing partiality, but about endeavoring to correct what they perceived as years of imbalance within the family. To everyone's astonishment, Mom requested my aunt and uncle to adhere to their original plan for the will. She stated that she now understood why they had made that choice, and that she no longer wished to contest it. She acknowledged that her behavior had been fueled by fear and greed, rather than love and concern for me. This conversation marked a pivotal moment in our family's interactions. While it did not instantaneously erase years of hurt and resentment, it opened the door for candid communication and healing. We all committed to attending family therapy sessions to address our issues and develop healthier ways of interacting with one another. As for Jake and me, we are cautiously optimistic about these developments. We've decided to maintain healthy boundaries with my family while offering them an opportunity to demonstrate their seriousness about change. Jake has been incredibly supportive throughout this journey, reminding me that it's acceptable to protect myself emotionally while also being receptive to reconciliation. I know we have a long path ahead of us, but for the first time in years, I feel hopeful about my relationship with my family. It's a curious blend of emotions: relief, apprehension, optimism, and lingering pain, but I'm dedicated to navigating these feelings and allowing my family a chance to make amends. Thank you all for your encouragement and counsel throughout this experience. Your words have provided me with strength and clarity during some of the most challenging moments. I will keep you informed on how things progress. Update 3. It's been 6 months since my last report, and I wish to share how circumstances have evolved within my family. The family therapy sessions we agreed to attend have proven demanding, but immensely advantageous. We've experienced moments of breakthrough and occasional setbacks, but overall, I can discern a positive transformation in our family dynamics. My mother has continued with her individual therapy in conjunction with our family sessions. She has achieved significant progress in comprehending her past behaviors and actively working towards modifying them. There have been difficult dialogues where she has had to confront the pain she inflicted upon me over the years, but she has demonstrated a genuine dedication to making amends. Elaine and I have been focused on rebuilding our sisterly bond. We've begun having regular sister dates, where we catch up and share aspects of our lives with one another. It has been pleasant to discover the person my sister has become, free from the shadow of resentment and rivalry that once overshadowed us. My father, who had always been somewhat passive in family disputes, has also stepped up. He has acknowledged his part in perpetuating the dysfunction in our family and has been actively striving to be more present and supportive. As for my aunt and uncle, they have been extraordinarily supportive throughout this process. They have participated in some of our family therapy sessions, assisting in providing context and insight into our family history. They have also maintained their decision regarding their will, but it is no longer a point of contention within the family. Jake has remained my steadfast support through all of this. He's been patient and understanding, offering encouragement when I need it and space when situations become overwhelming. His presence has served as a constant reminder of the healthy, loving relationship I merit. One of the most notable developments occurred last month when my mother approached Jake and me with a suggestion. She proposed that we renew our vows on our first wedding anniversary with a small ceremony including our immediate family and closest friends. Unlike her prior suggestion of a second wedding, this felt sincere and not motivated by guilt or ulterior motives. After thoroughly discussing it, Jake and I consented. We viewed it as an opportunity to commemorate our love and the advancements our family has made. The ceremony was intimate and beautiful, imbued with emotion and sincerity. Seeing my mother, father, and Elaine there, genuinely happy for us, was a moment I will treasure eternally. I won't pretend that everything is flawless now. We still encounter moments of tension, and old habits occasionally resurface. However, the difference is that now we possess the tools and the readiness to tackle these issues directly. I've learned that mending family relationships is a prolonged, ongoing endeavor. It demands patience, forgiveness, and a commitment from all involved parties. While I am cautiously optimistic about the future of my family relationships, I am also proud of the boundaries I've upheld and the personal growth I've achieved throughout this journey. Thank you all for your support and counsel during this challenging time. Your words have been a source of strength and clarity. While our family narrative is still unfolding, I feel hopeful about the forthcoming chapters.